What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Media Ministry Hangout Lounge. It's your boy DC, and today we're going to talk about 4 steps that you can take to get your videos from looking like this to something like this. So if you're interested in that, stick around with your boy and let's get it popping. Now, due to the past year and a half or so of events around the world with COVID, there have been more people than ever finding themselves sitting in front of a camera. And most of those people probably never thought in their lives that they would be doing such a thing. So if you're one of those people, preacher, teacher, or somebody that's coming up with a new hobby, and you're trying to figure this thing out, hang out with your boy. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have the tools that you need to get moving forward in the right direction. Disclaimer, these techniques are going to work with any kind of camera, whether you're using a smartphone, DSLR, mirrorless, or a cinema camera. So let's keep focused on the techniques and not get hung up on the gear. With that being said, let's hop into it. So the first step we're going to talk about today is placing your subject. You're going to identify what you want to have in the background of your image, and then you're going to get as far away from it as possible. This is going to create depth within your image because your background doesn't really need any attention. All the attention needs to be on the subject. For example, I have this keyboard and this computer stuff behind me. It's in the image, but it's not distracting because it's about 5 or 6 feet behind me. If your subject is too close to the background is going to swallow it up. It's going to be hard to identify what the subject is versus the background without having to think about it. So the second thing we'll talk about today is camera placement. And again, I reiterate, it doesn't matter the type of camera you're using, just turn it on. And again, make sure the camera is as far back as possible from the background that you want. And if necessary, zoom in to crop out any undesired parts of the background, because what's not in your image is just as important as the information that you put inside of your image. A lot of those random nothings can be very distracting. One key point to remember while placing your camera is to keep the lens kind of around eye level. This gives the viewer the feeling like they're your equal. If you have your camera too low, it gives off a feeling of authority which can belittle the viewer. Now, if you have the camera too high, it gives it a feeling like you're inferior. Or it's like they see you as a child and they don't take you as serious. So if you're going to be teaching something, you want to make sure that your camera lens is around eye level and just below. There's a sweet spot somewhere in between there, but not too low. Now, before I move on to the next 2 steps, go ahead on down to the comments and let me know, is this video helping you out? If so, go ahead and like, subscribe, and ring the bell. So the third thing we're going to talk about today is lighting. And there are so many different ways you can light your videos out there, but we're only going to talk about what it took to get this particular lighting set up right here. And what I'm going to do is strip away everything you see, and we're going to talk about one at a time, and I'm going to turn them on as I talk about them. Now, the most important light you're going to have in any light setup is going to be your key light. That's going to be the biggest, the brightest light on your subject. And in some situations, that's really all you need. Now, as for gear, I'm going to link everything in the description that I use in this video to create this look. So in this situation, I'm using the GVM 80-watt LED video light along with a 42-inch Bowens mount modifier. And it sits at about 45 degrees from my head, and it's about 3 feet away, just off camera. So what that 45-degree angle does is it creates what's called Rembrandt lighting. And you can recognize Rembrandt lighting by looking at a little triangle of light on the shadow side of the face. So the next light we're going to talk about is the kicker light, or the rim light, or the hair light. It has many names. So this light adds some extra light on the side of your face and the hair and your shoulder, and it actually helps you to separate yourself more from the background. Now, for this setup, my rim light is actually serving 2 purposes. We didn't talk about fill light, but this is actually filling in the rest of my face, as well as giving me that rim light that I need to separate myself from the background. But I'm using a 12-inch LED panel, and the power is all the way down, but it sits right off to the side of me. So the third light we're going to talk about is the background light. The subject already has a key light and it has a rim light, but the background might just be kind of dead. Now, this lighting situation as it is, with just your key light and your rim light, will work perfectly fine 100% of the time in any situation. But if you had a boring background, if it was kind of dark, or if you just wanted to spice it up, putting some light in the background is a real easy way to make your whole shot look better. And as you can see, once you turn that background light on, it gives it life. It's not just a piece of dead space behind the subject. So for my background light, I'm using another 80-watt LED video light. But on this one, I have a beauty dish along with a blue gel attached to it to give it that blue color on the back wall. And if you really want to make it interesting, you can add some different pops of color here and there. And then at that point, now you have a complete look. Now for these accent colors, I'm just using some little small RGB LED lights. You can choose whatever color you like and just pop it in little spaces. So for review, this is what it looks like when we started out with just the lights on in the room. Alright, so then we killed the room lights, and this is what it looked like. This is where you want to start. This is what it looks like with just the key light. This is what it looks like once you add your rim light. This is what it looks like when you add your background light. And finally, this is your final product with the accent colors. So the fourth and final thing we're going to talk about today is camera settings. We're not going to get too deep, so just for the sake of understanding, I'm going to let you know what I'm shooting at currently to film this video. Now, I'm shooting at 24mm focal length at f4.0. And I have an ISO setting of 400. Now, the rule of thumb for your shutter speed and frames per second is you choose your frames per second and you double that number to come up with your shutter speed setting. So currently I'm shooting at 30 frames per second. So my shutter speed is 1/60th of a second. And really that's it, guys. So if you start to take these 4 things that we talked about today and start applying them to your videos, you're gonna start making more engaging videos and you're gonna start having more fun. You're gonna be able to add more things to it because this is just the foundation. So if you're still here, I appreciate you for hanging out with your boy today. So go ahead down and leave me a comment. Let me know if there's anything that you guys want me to talk about. Like, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss any of my content. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.